Hey guys, it's been a long time since I've uploaded on this channel. I'm a little bit out of breath right now because, quite frankly, I just got back from carrying all of my clean laundry up from the laundry room, but that can wait for now. I programmed yesterday and the day before, I coded this entire game. It is based on a concept for a game that my lab partner Kyle Gearhart made. He made the entire concept. The concept of how the game works, how it plays, all the rooms, all the items, the greed mechanic, etc. And he wrote many of the lines. I also wrote many of the lines. So he wanted to be credited as the main writer, and I get to be credited as the main coder. Alright, so the way this game works, you control the game with this keypad over here. 2 to move forward, 4 to move left, 6 to move right, 8 to move back, A to check whatever room you're in, and this button in the middle, 5, to pick up an item if the game tells you that there is an item in that room after you press A. So let's start the game. Oh, I forgot to run it. Okay, now it should be running. There we go. Welcome to Trails of Greed. Press 2 to move forward, press 8 to move backward, press 4 to move left, press 6 to move right, press A to check around, press 5 to take an item, but be careful, greed has cost. Try to get out alive. Ooh. Some things will be worded strangely because there's such limited space on this LCD. There are 2 lines with 16 characters per line. Well, 15 practically, since the first one on either side always has to be blank. So yeah, that's what if something is weirded strangely, that's why. Leave your fate to destiny. You wake up in a jail cell. Okay. So while you're in the jail cell, if you move left, right, or backwards, you run into the wall. If you move forward, you run into the bars. What you gotta do is you gotta press A to check the room, and it'll tell you if there's a key on the ground. On this specific screen, you have to press 5 to pick up the key. And then, well, if you move left, right, or backwards, you still run into the wall. But if you move forward, you can escape the jail cell. You see a staircase. You go there. You climb the stairs. If you press A here, it'll tell you see a throne ahead. So now you're in the throne room. If you check the throne room, there's a ruby statue here. Now, if you pick up the ruby statue, it'll tell you your greed is punished. Ooh, greed punished. There's a greed mechanic in this game. You have to collect 3 items to get out. None of which are these frivolous greed items that you'll find throughout the game. Only 3 items that you find throughout the game will be non-greed items, and you need all of them. But if you collect 3 or more of these greed items, you'll get the bad ending. You'll be trapped here forever. And when you do pick up a greed item, it teleports you back to the jail cell as a punishment. So you gotta go back up. There's a throne in here, it's the throne room. If you check the throne room again, it'll tell you the throne's empty. You took the ruby statue. It's empty. So, you see a lengty hall. The hall stretches ahead. So you're in the first section of the hall. If you move forward, you'll walk down the hall to the second section. If you move forward again, you'll walk down the hall to the third section. And if you move ahead again, you'll enter the grand entrance. We require 3 items. Greed is also punished here. Yeah. If you move forward, you'll run into the door. So that's where the door is. Left or right is still the wall. If you check the room, the door is huge. It calls. I would have said it calls to you, but you know. This is your destiny. Yeah. But yeah, throughout the game, if you press any buttons that aren't, you know, valid inputs at the time, it'll say not a valid input. So you go back. Let's stop showing things off and just go back to the first hall. If you press A here, it'll tell you that the servant chamber is to your right, the king's chamber is to your left, and there's a bronze statue there. This bronze statue is one of the non-greed items you gotta pick up. So you pick it up, and you move on. If you go into the king's chambers and, you know, run into a few walls to make sure there's no extra places there, check the room. There's a gold sword. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like a greed item. So I'm gonna get out of there. So then I go to the right to get into the servant chamber. I check the room, and there's a rusty sword. That doesn't sound very frivolous. So I pick it up, and it's fine. If you check the chamber again, it'll say the chamber's empty. Every time. So you walk back to the hall. The hall stretches ahead. You walk down the hall. And now you're in the second segment of the hall. This hall's rather lengthy. You check here, it'll tell you that the den is to your right, the library's to your left. If you go to the den, there's a nice chest plate there. Now that's frivolous, so you leave. If you go to the library, you know, run into a bunch of walls to make sure there's no secret entrances or whatever. Spoiler alert, there usually isn't. Press A to find a worn chest plate. You're gonna want to pick that one up. So you walk back to the hall, you go forward, and from here you can go forward to the grand entrance, but instead I'm gonna show you that the kitchen's to your left, storage is to your right. So you go into storage and you check it, there's nothing there. This is the one room along the hallway that has nothing in it, ever. But if you go to the kitchen and check it, there's a diamond chalice. Now that's a greed item if I've ever seen one. So let's go back to the hall and go to the grand entrance. We require 3 items. Greed is also punished here. You have shown no greed. Greed can get you killed, but you knew well the lesson. You are a superstar. Game over. So that's ending 1. That's the 1 greed or less ending. Now there are different endings for whether you have all 3 items and 2 greed specifically, or if you have 3 greed or higher and it doesn't matter how many non-greed items you have. All right, so let me just run this again. There we go. So, blah, 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 blah. We get through the jail cell part. You pick up the key. You move forward. There's a throne in here. Let's go ahead and pick up the ruby statue again and deal with the punishment. Okay. The hall stretches ahead. Let's go into the king's chambers. Let's go ahead and pick up that gold sword and deal with the punishment of having to walk a lot. See a lengthy hall. The hall stretches ahead. Let's go into the servant chamber, pick up the rusty sword, go back to the hall, check the area, pick up the bronze statue, go forward. I think the library's to the left. Yep, pick up the worn chest plate again, walk back to the hall, and then enter the grand entrance. Since we have 2 greed items and all 3 required items, you'll get ending number 2. Your greed has been balanced. You are free to go. However, recall the lesson. Greed can get you killed. Game over. All right, and now let's move on to showing off the final ending, which is if you collect 3 or more greed items. So let's just get past the jail cell. Oh, wait. Pick up the ruby statue. Deal with the consequences. Pick up the gold sword. Deal with the consequences. Let's take that diamond chalice we saw earlier. That'll be fun. So you enter the kitchen from the small part of the hall, the last part. Let's pick up that diamond chalice. And then it should just be a straight shot directly to the grand entrance. There we go. Yeah, a little trick is if you hold down a directional button, it'll, you know, press it rapidly and go forward. We require 3 items. greed is also punished here. Your greed has been your end. You are trapped for eternity. Ooh. Game over. And, yeah. That's it. That's the game. Thank you for watching.